Hey, everybody, and welcome to your favorite 7 p.m. Thursday night live stream with just one guy in the U.S. Welcome to Project Talk. If you don't know me, I am Glenn from Fun King 3D, and also Fun King Garage. With me, as normally, would be my brother from another mother, James, but unfortunately, he had some things come up tonight that he could not control. He had to go and take care of it. So it's just me with you for the next 2 hours, rambling endlessly. So that means the chat needs to be more active than ever. So we actually don't have a whole lot of people watching right now. We have a lot of competition tonight, and I hate to give away the competition, but I guess Angus is streaming. I don't know if he still is, but he's doing a million subscriber hangout. If you are a Patreon supporter of Chris Riley, I mean, if you're not, why aren't you? But he's actually doing a live stream tonight for his Patreons only. And I want to say that starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it starts in an hour. So if you are a Patreon supporter of Chris Riley, it will not hurt my feelings if you go over there and hang out in his stream. It's fine. I mean, I might. I am a Patreon supporter of Chris Riley. I might just dump out halfway through. Like, leave the camera running, and I'll just go watch on my other computer. No, I wouldn't actually do that. So I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Felipe gets bragging rights because, well, it's, as far as I can see, he was first, and he didn't chime in with first. He was more shocked that we don't do this on the weekends anymore. But and then we also have Brian Vines and Builders Mark and 3D Medic Vince is here. Mad Mike 8. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That might be all of you. That might be everybody that's watching right now. According to StreamYard, there's only 5. I feel like a noob. That's how noobs used to be, like, like how it was way back in the beginning. So, like, again, James and I are just trying some different days. If this doesn't work out, we'll move it to a different day. I don't know. Maybe James and I just suck bad enough that nobody wants to watch us. So I don't know what that says for you guys, but hey, we're there to support you too. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week. I did. I mean, my week was okay. It's definitely gotten better with the changes around work now. Things are a lot less stressful. So, and the Christmas lights are all almost down. I have just the stuff up on the house and the 2 big trees to take down, and then that nightmare will be over. It doesn't normally take me this long to get stuff down through the year. Unfortunately, I've just been still very whipped. This fatigue from the coronavirus is super real. Mark said the stream probably won't be very fascinating, so we may all have to bolt. So I don't do things like this very often, but I had to go into the office this past week. I'm trying to remember what day it was. I think it was last Friday, actually. And I took my big cup completely full of my flavored water, and I set it on the rail of the bed of my truck as I was loading my stuff into the truck. And that's where it stayed until it fell off somewhere between here and my office, which is like 15 minutes away. And I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. And it makes me super sad because that cup was a gift from Uncle Ron. I ordered this new one, which came with this handy dandy speed handle here. And it is it's a North brand one. It's pretty nice. It's the same size. I thought it was going to be a little bigger, but it's not. It's the same size. It does have a snap over little lid so that it'll seal up. Not that I'd ever close that. I ordered this on Friday. As soon as I realized my cup was gone, I ordered this, and it got lost in transit. It started to make me feel like I wasn't meant to have a tumbler. So then Amazon said, "Oh, we're sorry it's delayed. If it doesn't show up in 2 more days, you can come back for a refund." So I ordered another one, and it showed up today. So now I just got to put a Fun King Garage sticker on it to make it all officially mine. Though I will miss the other one with the big cross on it. But I couldn't find that one, and I mean I could have reached out to Uncle Ron. I'm sure he would have told me exactly where he got it from, but for now that works. The price was right, and it has a speed handle on it. So what else? Oh, I brought my lunch. When was the last time that you seen one of these? I mean, this isn't the big one. Obviously, it's the little Playmate by Igloo, but it is a legitimate antique Igloo cooler, and this was the lunchbox size one. These coolers never made much sense to me because they were very well insulated down here, and the lids are like just super thin. They don't have any insulation in them at all. So, but there is actually Mark says he has one. Um, Say hello to my little Playmate. Um, yeah, so this one, just so you know that I'm not faking it, this one's heavy. Uh, I brought it in because it is my uh, nut and bolt toss bin, or at least one of them, because this little bucket is another one, and some other little buckets I have out there are another one. Um, so I also have these lovely dish pans that come from the $1.25 tree. They're not the greatest of quality, but they're quite handy. I bought a whole series of these at the point that we decided we were going to organize all of Zach's Lego by color, which ended up in the end to be about as effective as a fart in church. And now they're all back in just one big bin. So I have a bunch of these dish pans, and my thought for tonight, so that I have busy work to do, but I can still pay attention to the chat, is I'm going to start organizing this enormous nut and bolt collection and other miscellaneous. I mean, I have plumbing parts and stuff in here as well. So I know that we talked on a Project Talk episode back, and I'm sure it's been some time, probably over a year ago, about how to sort and organize nuts and bolts. And I haven't gotten to the organization part yet. But my thought is tonight I'm going to start to break these down really just by nut, bolt, miscellaneous, that kind of thing. But again, then I can still pay attention to the chat. I do want to share something with you guys, and I want your opinion. I want you to give me your opinion on this. Let me find. I should have probably had this this ready because I knew I was going to do this. But I think the best way, so that I don't show any of my personal information. I don't want you guys to see my Amazon account and see what my buying history is like. I'm going to just, I will toss that over there. Let's do a little screen share of that guy. So this is, and no, of course I can't see the chat. Let me pull the other chat up. This is, I don't know if you guys have locally to you a store called Rural King. It's kind of like a Tractor Supply on steroids. It's huge. I actually used to work there. It's not a great company to work for, at least not our local store. I guess the company is okay. Our local store, the employees there are terribly lazy. When you shop there, it's a lot like shopping in a flea market. Stuff is just kind of willy-nilly everywhere. You'll go to get something and they won't have any, but if you look in the top stock, it's up there. In fact, when I started there, I was the automotive department head, and I went in and they were like, "Oh yeah, we just need to get the department organized and stuff." I cleared all the top stock and restocked all the shelves because the stockers don't. They would just like put stuff up top so they didn't have to put it away. So it's it, long story, I know, but it's a nightmare. Anyway, that's the first place I ever seen these, and these are really really cool because obviously you can check both. Well, actually, all three. You can check nut size, washer size, and bolt size, as well as if I do this, can you see my pointer? No, it doesn't share the pointer. In the upper corner, upper right, or sorry, upper left corner, in the very top, like just to the left of where it says inch bolt gauge and metric bolt gauge. Actually, the metric one doesn't have it. So just on the inch bolt one, the blue one, there's holes for screw sizes as well. 6, 8, 10, whatever. So these are glorious. These are about 40 something a piece though. You can get them from Amazon. Amazon's got them for $85.99 for a pair. I think you guys already know where I'm going with this. So let me stop that screen share. You don't really want my opinion. Of course, I want your opinion. There's a link to it just in case you want to look at it on the Amazons. But I was about 6 seconds away from pulling the trigger on those. As the set, $85 and then $86 and $6 shipping, so about 92, 93 bucks. And then I said to myself, why would I pay $93? They're plastic and they have some bolts sticking through them. Now, again, if you have a Rural King or even a Tractor Supply, Rural King is a fantastic place to buy hardware because they sell it by the pound, and like as long as you don't mix and match, like in the beginning it was great because everything was silver or black. Metric was black, everything else was silver, so you could actually get stainless for the price of grade 5 because they didn't know the difference when you got to the register. But now things are different colors, like some of the bolts, and I might have some in here, some of the bolts are green and some of them are red. Just so that you know what grade they are. But it's a fantastic place to buy hardware because it's super super cheap, and you can get it in mass quantity. Now, of course, if you're really buying a large bulk of bolts, there's better places to get it. Fastenal is not one of them. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Fastenal. But my train of thought derailed. So, but I know where I was going. So this is a piece of plastic with some hardware through it. If you went in to Rural King and you picked up every piece of hardware that's on that, and you guys let me know if you want me to throw that image back up. But if you were to buy every piece of hardware that's in that display, it would probably cost you like $5, if even that. I can't imagine there's even a pound there, and it's about 4 something a pound for grade 5. I know you guys know what I'm thinking. Now, obviously, that thing is like this long. So if you were going to 3D print one of those, you'd need a printer with a bed at least this long. But really what it comes down to is why couldn't it just be a square? Like literally so that, everybody could print it, so you could share it. Why not make it the size of like the Prusa bed and do like stud, nut, instead of a row of studs, a row of nuts, just have them side by side. It wouldn't be labeled as fancy, but it would also cost a fraction of the price of that. And really all you'd have to do is I'm a Rhino user, but I have a plugin for Rhino that puts fasteners, and you can actually specify whatever the fastener is, and it puts the fastener in perfect scale. Bolts, studs, washers, nuts, whatever you need. So I'm thinking that you could actually make a hex indentation and then a hole. Have it print down so all the indentations are on the top like this. And then that one, when you look at it, you can see the face of the nut. On the one I make, you wouldn't. You'd just see a hole. And then just epoxy all of that hardware in. Or you could get even fancier and print two pieces and 3D gloop them together once you put the hardware in. But then if one of the hardware, like if something got nicked or a thread got galled, then you wouldn't be able to change it. But if you just some super glue or whatever to put them in there, then you could very easily check nut and bolt threads. And I know that there's other options. I know there's the kind that you get that's female threaded on one side and male threaded on the other, and it comes on a cable. But those are like $35. And then and of course there's the set like the feeler gauge where you take them out and you can check the threading on that, but then you also have to measure it for bolt diameter. And how many of those are you going to go through? This, you just kind of get close and you're like, oh yeah, threads into that. It's that one. So that's kind of my thought. And yeah, I'd love to have your guys' opinion. If you think that is something that could be 3D printed versus spending $95 or whatever it would turn out to be. And I'll throw that back up there just for a moment. Sorry, my mouse is giving me a little bit of issues tonight. I don't know if the battery in it's dead or if something's interfering with it, but yeah, so there's that. And they're big. They got a little base on them so they stand up nice, but if you are a hardware store and you want to have that on your shelf for your customers to use, yeah, I could see you wanting it to be, nice and legible. But I mean, how often would you really grab that and check? I mean, once in a blue moon, right? But so my problem is I'm a little bit of a hardware hoarder. As you can see, I mean, and then again, there's multiple buckets. For instance, I have here a bolt that is actually a Ford Super Duty body bolt. The new body mounts come with new body bolts, but did I throw the old bolt away? No, because it could always be turned into something later. Mark said hashtag need all the tools. I won't say I need all the tools, but yeah, you guys know that I am a huge fan of tools. But again, $95 just seems like so much to pay. And when I first seen those at Rural King, like they had them up on the shelf for use. And I thought, man, I got to figure out where those came from. I need a set of those. And then I realized that they sold them there, but currently they're out of stock, and it doesn't look like they're getting any away, or getting any more. But Slug Print said, if you throw it away, you'll need it the next day. Doesn't matter how useless you think it is. Absolutely, and I have had that happen on multiple occasions. I've even had it where I thought, oh, I'm not going to need this, so I'm going to throw it away. And then like a week later, I'm like, oh, I need that. So I go out and buy a new one, and then I realize I never actually threw the other one away. So, but then I have stuff like this, which is, it's, I don't know where this came from. It's just like little tiny nails and screw hooks and these horrible wall mollies. I'll probably never use that. But I don't throw hardware away. Anytime I've ever taken anything apart that had hardware, I don't throw the hardware away. So, and the more strange the bolts are, the more likely I am to hang on to them. So, I needed a Firewire cable recently. Firewire, found one in my container of cables I will never need. Brian Vine, so that's a dollar store picture hanging kit, Glenn. Yeah, but where did it come from? I wouldn't have bought that. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have paid $1 for that. So I don't know. I mean, people give me stuff all the time too. I mean, in fairness, I didn't necessarily buy all of this. Like they'll just give me boxes of miscellaneous hardware and stuff. But and then here I have some nice U-bolts that I honestly don't even remember what these came off of, but I have 5 here, and some of them are rusty. I don't know if that should go in the bolt bin. I think that I fall under bolt or miscellaneous. I'm going to put it in the bolt bin. So my goal tonight is just to kind of get all of this stuff sorted by what it is, whether it's a bolt nut washer, and it's almost a game of horseshoes, really little horseshoes. I'm trying to think what those came off of. I mean, with everything. Oh, I know. They're muffler. They're off of muffler clamps. Oh, I knew that I'd get there eventually. I used muffler clamps to hook the crank mechanism up on my big mega Christmas tree. And I changed that out last year. That's why they're rusty. So, all right. So bolts, nuts, washers. This will be an easy, keep busy task, but I can still watch you guys. So then let me ask, if one was going to go about 3D printing one of those nut and bolt thread finders, should one make it long like that and print it on the FK1 and then just kind of thumb my nose at everybody who doesn't have a print bed that big? Or should I strive to make it fit on a normal size print bed so that I can share it with the community? Because I like to share with the community, but I mean, I don't like, is it something that the community needs? Iomega removable drive circa 2005. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Back to that old computer hardware. This is stainless. I can tell by the feel. And then now I don't know if I want to just throw it in here. Maybe I'll bin stainless separately. Because I don't know if you guys have worked with stainless hardware. It's great because it doesn't rust. But if you get even one grain of sand into the threads, it will gall it and stick, and you'll never, ever, 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 ever get it undone without a plasma cutter or a torch. Ever. Ever. So I think I'm going to throw stainless. If I know it's stainless, I'm going to throw it into that other bin over there. Yes. Yeah, I have all kinds of, weird eye screws and eyelets and stuff. So it'll be good. It'll be good. Spring that I bought still in the bag. Yeah, it's kind of sad that James couldn't join me tonight. He had sent me a message and said there was just no way to get out of the obligations that he had for tonight. But he will make it up to all of you. He said that next week he's going to buy you all pizza. We'll have a pizza party. So you're going to want to plan to be here for that. I mean, here in the studio. Not really. Please don't show up at my house. Man, there's all kinds of weird stuff. Oh, that's off of an electrical panel. So, yeah, I mean, I have gone to the trash can with a handful of hardware that I took out of something, and I go to throw it, and I go, nope, and then it ends up in this Igloo cooler, or the bucket, or this Igloo cooler lives on top of one of those cheap Harbor Freight tool carts, and like there's a lot of overflow just laying in the top of that tool cart as well. So here I have a bag of factory bolts and washers. They're Ford, and I'm not sure why I would have bought these. I'm not sure. I'm going to leave them in the bag because I'm going to look up that part number. How much parking do you have? Should we carpool? I have plenty of parking. Parking's not an issue. I have probably 3/4 of an acre of open land. Plenty of parking. Oh, here's one of the bolts from I don't know if you guys can tell. See how it's got a little blue to it? So this is one of the Rural King bolts that you buy based on the the strength, the grade, sorry. And this one's not really showing up. Almost looks like I had put blue Loctite on it, but even the nut has a little bit of a blue hue to it. So that's stainless. That's another problem that I have is when I go to buy specific hardware. Uncle Ron, I keep forgetting you're on Thursday now. Yeah, you missed the story, Uncle Ron. I lost my tumbler. My tumbler took a tumble. In my old age, I left it on the rail of my truck when I drove away. So I had to get a new tumbler. I'm going to miss that one. It bothered me so bad I had dreams about it that night. So the one where Glenn is alone and goes nuts. I didn't know you meant bolts and nuts. Well, the thumbnail should have given that away. But anyway, so like when I plan out a project, for the most part, I mean, there's some projects where you're just going to need a handful of whatever. But when I plan out a project, I'll know because I usually CAD it in Rhino and write down to all the hardware. And so I'll know, okay, I need 13 of these bolts, nuts, washers, and blah, 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 like this. But I don't go in the store and go, okay, here's 13. I make sure I got 13, and then I throw like another handful in there. Because one, you don't know if the hardware you're buying has bad threads on it or whatever. Plus, you can always use more. I have bags and bags of hardware out there, and then I go to the store and I buy some more, and I'm probably buying the stuff that I already have at home. But I don't know that I have it at home because it lives in bags and Igloo coolers. So that's kind of what's causing all of this. Uncle Ron said I'll have to load one up in the laser and make one. Yeah, it really made me sad. I went to the office. I know, squirrel, but I went to the office to do work, and I was there for like 3 hours, and all of a sudden I realized I was really thirsty. And I'm like, where did I put my cup? And I'm walking around looking for my cup, and then all of a sudden, like, it kind of clicked in, and I went out to my truck and I looked, and the tonneau cover on my truck had like a sticky film on it. So it definitely, my tumbler tumbled and spilled across and then flew off at some point. And And then I'm like, man, I lost my tumbler. So, and what hurts is that it was a gift from Uncle Ron. So, but I have a new one, and it holds water, doesn't leak, and it has the go handle. You should print your sorting gauge from flexible filament and then stream the sort. Oh, that would be pretty funny. Go to do, and all the bolts just fall out of the back and stuff. Sergio said hello everyone and hello Lonesome Glenn. Yeah, I got no James. I got nobody. Yeah, starting. I hope you guys noticed that I started on time, and I almost started 5 minutes early because I didn't have James to chit chat with ahead of the stream, and so like I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna start. So, now you probably hit it with your mower. No, I'm sure it's not even on the property because I walked. The truck was in the garage, and I left out of the garage. So actually, I would have rolled out into the driveway, closed the garage door, and then drove out from here. But like, I don't go ripping out of here. I don't drive a race car. So it probably would have made it down to the big S curve. But I don't know. The county will hit it with their lawnmower. So it's sad. But it is what it is. Boy, this is tedious. I should get somebody else to do this for me. It was absolutely never going to change. And I don't use any of this hardware because I don't know what I have. And it'll be so nice if I can get it into buckets that are sorted by size. I mean, drywall screws. Do I really need to keep drywall screws? I have buckets of drywall screws, but oh, that's a unique one. Oh, I think that's Hurricane hardware for hurricane shutters. But yeah, if I can get bins that are labeled by size, half, whatever, some quarter 20s, and then I can go, even if it's not all, like if it's not quarter 20 by 1 inch, quarter 20 by half inch, like I don't care. If it's all quarter 20, I can find what I need in there and not necessarily run out and buy. I don't know. It doesn't really count as a bolt. That's a screw head. So I'm going to put that in with the screws. And not run out and buy hardware every time. So, and someday I'll be fortunate enough to have a setup like Derek over at Vice Grip Garage, where he's got the whole wall of hardware that somebody else maintains for him. I mean, that would be great. I used to have a connection to a fastener shop in Orlando. I used to do their computer work, but unfortunately that relationship is long gone. They probably wouldn't even know who I was anymore. So, and then if you're looking for metric hardware, like a really good supply of metric hardware in whatever sizes you could ever possibly want, I would recommend Bell Metric. I think it's just bellmetric.com, BEL metric. Might be Bell hyphen. I don't know. Search Bell Metric. That is where all the hardware for the FK1 came from. And you can just kind of pick and choose whatever it is that you want and the quantities that you want. And it shows up in baggies. It's fantastic. So, but I mean, this kind of stuff for one-off. I mean, if I needed one nut this size, and I run all the way and Rural King is about 20 minutes from here, so that's I mean, you're an hour by the time you drive there, get it, and get back. It's an hour. So, Uncle Ron said, just pulled up the tumbler order, not currently available. Was that on? Was that a Jungle website on Amazon? There was something else I was going to tell you guys about, kind of related, but in my old age, it's now slipped my mind, so I don't even know. I don't even remember what it was. Guess it wasn't that important. It'll come back to me. Yeah, I dug on Amazon and could not find it. If any of you guys are looking for a tumbler and you want to use my affiliate links, because that's how I roll, that's the tumbler that I bought. It's on sale right now here in the US, 26% off for $22.99. Again, the first time it shipped, it got lost. It's delayed and they don't know what happened. So I had to order it a second time, but their label on the outside said caution, might cause brain freeze. But what was funny was right above that it said the liquid in the cup may be extremely hot or extremely cold. And then it said warning, like possible brain freeze. Well, not if it's hot. I mean, if you're drinking hot cocoa, it's not going to be hot. No brain, no pain. So anyway, wow, there's like trash in here. I should have a trash box. Let me get a trash box. If only I had a huge stack of Amazon boxes sitting around here. We'll put the trash box over here. That way anything that doesn't belong, that just needs to go in the garbage, can go in there. Oh, yeah. So, but no, overall it was a good week. James did give me sufficient warning that he wasn't going to be here. I considered finding a co-host for tonight, a guest host, and then just decided that I needed to try this on my own. I don't do it solo very often, and it kind of makes me soft when I don't. So, Brian has joined us. When did I start? On time, man. Like maybe a few seconds early. You're a little early tonight. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. So, but here's a thumb screw or thumb nut. I don't know what you'd consider that to be. Well, here. So I had a tape measure that went bad. I took the belt clip off just in case I ever have one break, because I always buy the same brand of tape measures. I've never broken one of these, but I have an extra one just in case. I'm not a hoarder. All right, so that's a tough one. That's a cable clamp. I guess that's going to go into the miscellaneous because it's both a bolt and a nut. So I'm touching all this stuff and my hands are dirty, and then I wipe my face and I'm afraid my face is going to be, I'm going to have like smears all over my face by the end of the stream. Brian said, I'm asking because I got out a little earlier. I could have sworn you said you started at 8. It's only 7:36. No, 7 to 9. I got to be off the air by 9. And in fact, tonight I may duck out just a touch early because my wife is out, and I got to make sure my kid is in bed by 9 because he won't go to bed on his own, little rotten little. I mean, at 16 years old, you think, oh, no, it's the other one. Hello, Tony and Ryan. Oh, wow. I am old. I am tired. This COVID thing, man, I am so sorry. I mean, not that anybody wouldn't be, but I'm so sorry that I got this COVID, and I cannot shake the fatigue. But I pushed myself very hard multiple nights this week to not get done with work and take a nap, but rather go out and work on, man, there's some weird stuff in here. Go out and work on taking down Christmas lights because they got to come down. Sadly, some of my stuff is, I have blow mold soldiers that stand on either side of my front door, and I've had those since I was about 12. about 12 years old, so like 1,000 years. And I realized yesterday that they are cracking and breaking because they're so dry rotted from being in the sun after all these years. Now, they did live in an attic for quite a few seasons. They didn't come out and see the light of day. My sister had them, but that's a plumbing part. But yeah, it kind of broke my heart that they're bad, and now I got to find a replacement for next year. But yeah, this is I don't know if I can show you. I don't know how well it'll show up. So this is about a thumb length down, but it is full solid. Like it's full of hardware. And again, like every time I had extras. Oh, here's a grate. Here's a grate. Now, it doesn't show up well on camera, but that thing is absolutely blue. Here's next a silver one. So you can see that they have blues and reds depending on the grade. I don't know why I feel it's so important to keep showing you guys that. I'm sure you get it by now. 3D print some new soldiers. Yeah, well, I mean just purely the sentimental value on them, but no, I'll find something that's just amazing and something bigger and more elaborate, because that's what I do. So much. Yeah, that's some kind of a plug, because it's a bolt with an O-ring, but I'm going to put it in the bolt bin. So it's hard to decide where some of this stuff goes, but we're just gonna keep on keeping on. Oh, it's one of those. That is a cover. I believe that is a cover for a starter solenoid on a lawnmower, but I don't know. Got some big washers. So what is everyone else working on? Nobody has emailed in other than Uncle Ron, who sent it to the wrong email address, but it's fine, Uncle Ron. I can forward to myself. Nobody has been sending in any projects. I know you guys aren't just sitting around doing nothing. So, and you know, your projects don't have to be anything specific. I mean, I'm waiting to see pictures from James of his bathroom progress. Okay, let me rephrase that. His bathroom renovation progress. Don't anybody tell him I said that. Because that is not something I actually want to see. But no, being that I'm in the construction field, I like to see construction progress. And then today, I was having a good time today. Have you guys played with ChatGPT? So I've played with it a little bit. In fact, my tweet that I wrote today, calling them now, the tweet that I shared today for the stream, that was actually written by ChatGPT. I asked it to write me a short poem about my YouTube live stream called Project Talk, related to nuts and bolts, and that's what it came up with. And but today my coworker and we were on the phone together, and I said, you know, you can get this thing to write emails and stuff. And so he used it to send our boss, the company owner, an email requesting a proposal review. And like, it's so elaborately professional. It's hysterical. And then he sends me a message and he's like, I used ChatGPT for that. And I'm like, no doubt. Like, I couldn't tell. And then so I asked ChatGPT, I said, write me an email to a coworker about their body odor. And I sent that to him, and he's like, wow, that's hurtful. But I mean, it's brilliant. So if you guys haven't played with ChatGPT, you do have to create a free account. It's not a big deal. They don't ask too much information out of you, but it's incredible what you can ask it for. But Brian said he's been busy. Last major upgrade was straightening up the wiring on my Ender 3 V2 and upgrading the SSD and RAM on my laptop. Well, I successfully upgraded some more parts in my PC this week. I also built a PC this week right here at this bench with my oldest son. He was willing to actually learn something, which was amazing, but I had to build a new PC for work. But in the process, I also upgraded my hard drive. I think I actually did that. Oh, I was working on it last week. Sorry, right before the stream, but I was having issues. It turned out the issue was because I was trying to clone that drive to a NVMe USB enclosure, and it didn't like it. So I opened the computer and I put the hard drive. I put both NVMe's in there on the main board, and then it cloned it over. Super easy. And I'm trying to think of the Requiem. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the software that I used, but they have a free version for non-commercial use, and it worked swimmingly. See, now I almost want to call that a bolt, but it's really a screw. Well, I'm gonna keep putting it in the screw bin. And then I bought myself a video card. Some of you know that Zach got a computer for Christmas. Oh, that's stainless. That's most definitely stainless. If you guys don't know, stainless has got kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, titanium color to it. It's got just a little, but you guys probably already knew that. Yeah, so Zach got his new computer for Christmas, and I chose that one because I wanted to steal the video card out of it. So it came in with a 12 gig 3060. Yeah, that's also stainless. And I poached that thing before I gave him the computer, and I put a 1050 Ti in there, and it's fine for him. Like, he didn't know it, but I was feeling a little guilty, and so I bought myself a different 3060 non-Ti 12 gig, and put that in my machine, and then put his original one back. So Zach's PC has more horsepower than your jelly. No, his is only an i5. Mine's an i7. I also upgraded my RAM. I went to a massive 64 gigs of RAM, which, I mean, I've been doing PCs for a long time, and let me tell you, you don't need more than 8 megabytes. I mean, really, more than 4 megabytes, and DOS is never going to see it anyway. But no, I him-hawed around about going to 64 when I did the motherboard that I got from Scott, and got through Scott. Rephrase that. I don't want you guys to think Scott bought me a motherboard. He probably would, though. He's a nice guy. So if you need a motherboard, just reach out to Scott. But I debated going to 64 then, and you know, I got mixed opinions on the internet. Not like that ever happened. And so I opted for the 32, but I made the decision to go to 64. Oh, that could be stainless. No. I made the decision to go to 64 because of video editing. Video editing just, it absolutely punches my machine in the gut. No matter what I do to that machine, nothing seems to help but RAM as far as editing goes. So that's why I went that way. But Brad said, but I get he doesn't need all that power. No, he really doesn't. Oh, I still think you should buy another video card and give him that one. Well, that's exactly what I did. But by the way, I hate to like clog up the chat, but did he ever realize you swapped it out? No, you're not clogging up the chat. That's what the chat's for, man. No, he never knew. He had no idea. And like the heaviest thing that he plays is Roblox. You know, I mean, he plays a couple different little games on Steam and stuff, but like he doesn't play. I mean, he's not in there playing Red Dead. You know what I mean? So like he never really needed the graphic power. But what really bothered me was if there was ever an issue with that machine. Discard what I was saying. No, you don't. No, don't delete your messages. That other people get to read them later. But no, I mean, like I could have left that 1050 in there, but then if anything ever went wrong with that machine, it doesn't have the original hardware, and I didn't ever want any questions about that. Like I didn't want it to cause problems. So it just made more sense. Plus it kind of bothered me because his particular video card, the one that came in his machine, well, it had a specific bracket for that machine to hold it up. So it made me feel better to put that back. But also his was a single fan unit, and the way his case is, he gets a lot more airflow through his than I do mine. And so I made sure I got one that had at least 2 fans on it. So that's a weird one. But anyway. Brian said, I went from 8 gigs to 32, and I'm loving it. So if you run Windows 10, and probably Windows 11, because I refuse to upgrade, so I don't really know much about Windows 11 yet. If you run Windows 10 with just basic stuff, it will eat up more than 50% of 8 gigs of RAM when you boot, with really nothing else running. I know this because when I built my wife's computer back in 2014, and she's still running it, she really only uses it for the occasional web browsing and paying the bills. And nobody wants to do that fast anyway. She's actually getting an upgrade here fairly soon as well. But we'll see. Now these are machine screws and nuts. So nuts, but it's still in the back. But she only has 8 gigs of RAM in her machine because she doesn't do anything on that machine that requires graphics or, whatever. And I don't really think about it, like being her machine. I don't think about what it's capable of. And then she was having some issues the other day, and I was on it, and I realized that it was booting, taking more than 50% of the RAM on boot. So she's actually going to get the i7 that I just took out of my machine, which is a 8000 series 8. But it's an i7. That's a very interesting piece. i7, and she'll have 16 gigs of RAM. No, 32 gigs of RAM. So she should be more than good at that point. For probably another however many years it's been, because it's been a lot of years. All right, let's play Name That Part. See if this thing will focus. Does anybody have any clue what this is? I mean, it looks like trash. See if I can get it to focus better. It's slightly dished. I'd be willing to bet nobody can guess. I'll give you a few minutes just in case. Biggest thing with Windows is swap file space if you're running multiple applications and doing task switching. Absolutely. Uncle Ron said, looks like a spool from a label printer. Nope. I'll tell you, it's a tool. I mean, I use that term loosely, but it's a tool. I have all these weird like nuts and stuff in here from like kits that for weed eaters, where you change the spool on the weed eater. So I got all these weird nuts and stuff in here for that. So Tony said, like when I'm 3D modeling and have Fusion 360, a couple of browser windows and the slicer open at the same time. Well, like if you have, I'm a Chrome tab hoarder. I will have two. I always have two Chrome windows open. One mainly has YouTube in it, so I can watch YouTube during the day. Like it's got my YouTube Studio, and so I can keep track of all of my subscribers. 427, by the way. But and then the other one is my main browser window, and then it. Wow, you're lucky you retracted that, Uncle Ron. You potty mouth. This is a family-friendly channel. But yeah, I hoard Chrome tabs, and that will absolutely eat the RAM in your machine. I put one in here earlier that I kind of felt like it was a bolt, but I think it's more of a screw, so it's going over there. And did you also know the AMD Ryzen processors absolutely hate single channel memory? Honestly, I don't know much about Ryzen processors because I'm an Intel guy. I always joke around and say like, oh, I hate AMD and I'd never use AMD, but that's not really the case. I prefer Intel. All right, so I'm gonna tell you exactly what this is, because nobody guessed it. Not that anybody really cares, but you guys know what that is? No. If you have kids, you definitely know what these are. If you ever owned a wagon, it's one of those caps that you pop onto the end of an axle, and this is the tool. You lay it in there like that, and then the rod goes in there so that it goes into the inside of the wheel, and you can hammer it down from the top side, and that just holds the cap. And I just happen to have the cap and the tool right here in my bin. So I hope you learned something from that. Always feels nice when I can teach you. This U-bolt, I know exactly where this U-bolt came from. It came off of one of those motorcycle lifts that Harbor Freight sells. And I know that because we had one that we were junking out. And I stole all the hardware off it. Oh, here's another one of those tools. I don't remember what toy those came with, but that's what those are. Hat for an Easter egg. Well, that's a screw. Yep. But anyway, man, this is a lot of hardware. And I think about how much hardware I've gone out and bought just because I was too lazy to dig and find it. And then here, like this. So, Home Depot sells the hardware in these little bags. Terrible place to buy. Terrible place to buy hardware. Is at Home Depot and Lowe's. Because, you get like 4 or 5 lock nuts for, $1.50 or whatever. Well, $1.50, I could have 300 of them from Rural King. So, and that's not a plug for Rural King. Your local tractor company store, whether it's Tractor Supply or trying to think what that other one is that we don't have, but I've stopped there. They're in Georgia. And I stopped there to grab something one time, and it was like, man, I wish we had these. But oh, it's an O-ring horn for installing O-rings. Use both the tools at the same time with a pipe clamp and cut the installation time in half. Yeah, what are those fasteners called? They're like acorn somethings, or I don't know. They're almost always on like power wheels. In fact, that might be what that was from. For attaching the wheels to the axles. Power wheels. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of this, I think a lot of this will end up in the trash in the end. Got to have some micro switches in your hardware. But yeah, I think a lot of this will end up in the trash in the end of all of this. But I mean, there's some really odd stuff in here, but I don't know. You don't know what the next project is going to need. And I have, I've used some crazy amount. In fact, I had an S10 pickup. No, sorry, it was a Blazer, 2000 S10 Blazer that I parted out back a few years ago, a toilet bolt, for a friend of mine. It had, the motor had gone, and it was in pretty rough shape, and I told him I would part it out and get for it what I could. And so like we pulled the transmission, sold the transmission to somebody, and all that hardware I hung on to, and I've used so much of that because, automotive hardware is generally different than any other kind of hardware, like, big washers with flat parts cut out of them. You don't know. You don't know what you're going to need. Plus, if you're going to make a tool, sometime like a one-time use, maybe never again, and you got to weld a couple of washers onto it or whatever, like you don't cringe as bad if you didn't go out and pay for it. So Sergio said, I always save extra hardware, but it seems I forget where I put them. When I don't need them, I find them. Need to organize. Well, exactly, and that's what's bringing me to where I am tonight. This is the fourth bag of these I pulled out, and these are nails for IKEA cabinets. To nail the backings on the IKEA cabinets, but a air stapler worked better, so I have like all these bags of IKEA nails. Man, there's some weird stuff in here. So, and then I've been looking for some of these. These are shims for my lift. I'm gonna put those off to the side. But like, I mean, people will give me jars and buckets of miscellaneous hardware. When my grandfather passed away, I ended up with a bunch of hardware. A friend of my dad's passed away. I ended up with hardware from him. A friend of mine moved to Washington, D.C., and they moved from a house into an apartment, and he couldn't take all of his garage stuff, so I ended up with all his hardware. It's like people feel I need this stuff, and I don't say no because I also feel I need this stuff. Hi, I'm Glenn, and I have a problem. I don't know. It'll be much better when and if I can get it organized into bins. And then I can just be like, oh, I need a quarter 20 bolt, and then I can just go get it. That absolutely looks like the guard off of an axe, except for the end of it is perfectly flat. I don't know what that is. Oh. I'm losing my butts and nults. There's so many like drywall screws and like screws in here, which of course are sharp. So when you dig in here, you get them jammed right into your hand. But IKEA cabinet parts. Yeah, I don't know what these nuts came off of, but they're weird and shouldered. They're not a lug nut. There has to be something automotive, and I'd almost be willing to bet that it's Ford Super Duty related, but it might not be. I've worked on a lot of stuff over the years. Stainless. I know some of these, like you pick them up and you can just tell that they're like cheap. Lift them out with a magnet. Yeah, but then they're all stuck to a magnet. I mean, if I had like an electromagnet or one of those kind where you can pop the handle and it drops stuff, but nah, this is fine. I'm filthy dirty, but it's good. It's keeping me busy while I'm talking, and I still get to read the chat. So, and of course, if I miss anything, you just gotta, man, why did I buy that large of a cable clamp? I don't use cable that big. I'm sure I had a purpose at some point. Whew. But yeah, almost like I would say 50% of this is screws of some form, whether they're like drywall screws or machine screws. I don't know, but I need, that's what I need. I need somebody who will film my videos and do my editing, and then also somebody who just takes care of sorting the nuts and bolts and making sure that I always have inventory of every size. Brian asked, do I have a wood lathe? I do not. A metal lathe is on my short list of wants and desires, and last week I almost pulled the trigger on one, but now is not the time. The garage has got to be cleaned better first. But I don't know. A wood lathe is something that I don't think I would get enough use out of. It would be fun, and then people say, oh, when you get a lathe, like you find all kinds of other things you can do with it. But I don't know. I'd end up making bowls and wooden dowels. So does it taste like old rust or new rust? A little bit of both. Sounds like a good job for your children. Yeah, except for I want it done right. Do you need someone to talk on camera for you too? That'd be great. Somebody to actually do the automotive work, and I'll just collect the check. So I seen a reel on that Instagram thing. You guys heard of this new Instagram thing? Yeah, I got 2 of these. I don't know what I bought those for. Those are huge. But it was a guy, and he said that he got an invitation to test this AI, and I don't remember the name of it. The point that you had to have an invitation, I kind of lost my excitement there. But he spent 5 minutes telling it stories, verbally, and then he could get it to mimic his voice perfectly. So, like he fed it the line from the movie Taken. If it's money you're after, I don't have any, but I do have a special set of skills. But it read it back perfectly in his voice, and I thought, man, that would be so amazing for doing voiceover work, because you wouldn't have to record it, you wouldn't screw up, you just type what you want it to say, and it would just say it, But I don't know. But no, I still have to be the face. I still have to be the face of the channel. I mean, I didn't get 427 subscribers by not looking like this. Uncle Ron said, I just bought a wood lathe. It will be in your general vicinity in the not too distant future. Yeah, you keep threatening me with a good time, but it never comes to fruition. I figure if I bully you, you'll move down here sooner. Uncle Ron's going to retire to Florida. And by retire, I mean move down here and work down here instead. And then I'll have Uncle Ron can help sling the camera, and I don't think he'll edit my videos, but he'll definitely help out in the garage, which is always nice to have a second hand. Oh, I got another one of those little caps. And there, if I ever need a wood lathe, I'll just go use Uncle Ron's. But no, I definitely want. I've run a lathe. I've never run a mill, like Bridgeport or whatever. but I want one. I just think that I could build some really amazing things and maybe lose a hand, but it's fine. I have two. But there has been a number of times, and I lied. All right, I lied. I have a lathe, but it's little tiny. It's like it's a little tiny hobby lathe. In fact, I got it from the same guy who passed away and left me a bunch of his hardware. He passed away. I got his lathe. But he used to build, and I'll try to find it one day. I have it put away, but he used to build these little tiny replica steam engines, and then he would power it. Like he would have the steam engine running a belt that turned a generator, but really the generator was an electric motor, so it would make the steam engine move, and it was really cool. Do those go together? I don't know what these silver caps are, but whatever they are, they screw into these gray plastic things. So it was his lathe, and he would turn his own hardware. He would actually make little tiny nuts and bolts and all kinds of stuff. Like a lot of it was hand filed, but so I've used that lathe to turn some smaller things, but obviously it's not really what I need. I need a big boy lathe, but not until the garage is done being retrofitted and set up properly, because it will go in the metal shop. Yeah, I told you guys last week that I bought the new toolbox and got that offloaded out of the truck, and I haven't done anything with it since. I have not been in the garage at all because of trying to get caught up with Christmas lights, and I have without giving anything away, every so often I have to go through and organize all of the video content that I already have filmed for different projects. Like when Uncle Ron was down here, we did some work on his truck, and I have all of that filmed. So as opposed to just dumping, it's a drill bit. Dump it into one big pot, but I go through every so often and I sort it based on what the project is. So like if it's Fummins content, it goes into a Fummins folder and then into a subfolder based on what that content is about. And so I have hit the end of all of the content I had pre-organized. So now I'm going through and organizing more content, which it's not really fun to sit and watch, but it's got to be done. Oh my gosh, it's the bin that never ends. And of course, like the further we get down in here, the smaller the stuff gets because it's just filtered down. So now it's like just these little tiny washers and stuff. Okay, so what would be first, a Bridgeport, a Haas CNC mill, or... All right, so it really would depend on... It would depend on the deal I could get, really. So the one that I seen last week, which was local to me, was it was a both. I'm trying to remember what brand the lathe was, but it was a Bridgeport mill and a lathe as a package deal. And I won't say it was cheap. I mean, it was a good deal, but it was still a lot of money, and that kind of swayed me away from it as well. But yeah, it's just going to depend. Like, I think I would get more use out of the lathe. So if I was going looking for one or the other, I would look for the lathe first. But I mean, if I found a Bridgeport or whatever, like cheap enough, and then of course, you know, it's going to depend on the feature. I want it to have an RDO, DRO, And if it doesn't have one, I want to add one. I don't necessarily need it to be CNC'd. It would be nice, but a 5-axis CNC. But no. At the point that I spent that kind of money on something, I would have to figure out how to make it generate money. And that's where I've hung up, because I know I was telling you guys before that I really want a CNC plasma. And that could still very, very well happen in the future. But I also feel that I need to make and sell stuff. I need it to generate money. So, but, and then the problem is as soon as, that's a computer thumb screw. As soon as you, well, not necessarily you, but as soon as I turn anything into a money-making thing, I immediately lose interest in whatever that is, because it becomes work to me. It's no longer a hobby. So then you have to walk that fine line. Oh, I got a couple of those computer screws in here. You have to walk that fine line of finding something that you can make to generate money. Kind of like Uncle Ron. Uncle Ron makes different things, like with his laser engraver, silk screening, that kind of stuff. I won't say always, because I know he does some of it as like deals, but like he kind of finds things that are just fun to make and then sells them. But I also don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to get a booth at the flea market and set up at the flea market every Saturday. I don't got time for that. If I could do it through a website, like Etsy or whatever. But even then, because my family won't help me. They don't want any part of any business that I start. They're always like, no, we don't want any part of that. They just want to cash in on the monies. But if I could sell through a website and then just, ship the stuff, then that wouldn't be so bad. So, problem with the money making project is eventually you have to deal with customers. Yes and no. I mean, if I was to do it, I would just do it as a private individual selling stuff. And then if people were like mad, I'd be like, too bad. Guess you won't buy from me anymore. Of course, I used to tell my customers that when I was a business. When I had my t-shirt shop, and people would order t-shirts from me like 11 p.m. on a Friday night. And then I would get an email on Saturday morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I never got shipping confirmation. I'm like, well, that's because it's a business, so I work Monday through Friday. And you ordered a custom shirt that I have to design and make. So, yeah, I'm not going to just instantly pull it out of my bungholio and send it to you. Also, it's one of those tiny little mini brass lathes. Oh, that's the wrong bin. Starting to get a little groggy. These nighttime streams just really mess me up. I'm gonna have to grab a paper towel so I can like wipe my face without wiping dirt all over my face. I'll have war paint on by the end of the. And then I'll get canceled for making fun of Native Americans. I didn't say that out loud. Oh, that's good. My camera's dipped out. That's got to be a StreamYard problem because I checked my internet speeds before the stream and they were fantastic. So need artwork confirmation. Need to order your 17XL shirt since I don't stock those as a regular item. I had one regular customer that he wore a 5X, and so I always kept 5X t-shirts in stock. And he was buying a like a really decent amount. Every time I released a new design, he would order one of the shirts. And so I bought a fairly large quantity of 5X shirts. And then he stopped ordering shirts from me just out of the blue. Like he had left the car club that he was in. So like he didn't have that. Man, why is that dipping out? Come on, StreamYard. I contact them and let them know. Because there's no way that I don't know. Am I dipping out on your guys' side? Because it dips out on this side, and then I don't know if I lose audio at that moment. My kid's probably streaming. No, I still have plenty of internet. Like, I mean, the internet's just overflowing. See what my upload speeds are. Dip, dip, dip. You don't have to call me names, Chris. Gosh. Yeah, I still have. I'm running 36 meg up right now, so it should not be on my side at all. Which means it's on their side. Not dipping out, just a dip. All right. All right. Yeah, so this is all just like, it's all just like little stuff now. And then, like I told you guys, I built the computer this week and we did it in here just because I don't really have a clear spot, air conditioned otherwise. And so like I came in here tonight to stream and I realized that I never cleaned it up. And I'm like, oh man. So I had to like hurry up and clean up. And once again, I mean, if you guys could see what's, not on camera. Yeah, this place is a disaster. All right, I'm going to mute my mic just for a second because this is going to make a horrendous noise. That wasn't so bad. I'm going to pour it back and do it again so you guys can hear it. Man, I can't tell you the last time that little Playmate was empty. I'm going to start using it as a lunchbox again. So here are some 3/8 by 16 flanged hex nuts that the only reason I bought them was because they were on clearance at Lowe's for 53 cents. I didn't need them, but I have used them because I bought like 6 bags of them, and that might be the only bag left at this point. Here's a bottle of some oil. That's got to be for an air tool. Here's another bag of those IKEA nails. Mirror the walls. No, that would be terrible. Stainless screws. Yeah, I like, all right, so if I build something out of lumber, even if it's, well, I guess mainly if it's temporary, and then I take it back apart, I don't throw the screws away. And that habit started when I was always building stuff for the Cub Scouts because money was always tight, so we recycled everything. I mean, like we used the same 2x4s to build the haunted house and all the parade floats and stuff for years. Like you would see paint remains from stuff and you'd be like, oh, that was the float we built 4 years ago. But so like when we take stuff apart, we would save all the screw. I mean, here's a snapped off screw. I'm sure glad I saved that. But yeah, like we would save all of that stuff, and that's I think kind of how the habit started. And I mean, they're still fully usable. Now, when I was a kid, my father used to pull the nails out and give me a hammer and make me sit and straighten nails so that we could reuse them. But of course, I mean nowadays we just buy new ones. Of course, nowadays you wouldn't want to straighten a nail because they suck compared to olden time nails. But yeah, I can remember many, many a times straightening nails to reuse them. But you know, if it saves you a few bucks, it saves you a few bucks. Plus, if you're putting something together that's just temporary that you don't care about, then you know, then you can use the old nails and you don't care if you ever get them back. The other problem you're going to have with a Bridgeport and even a metal lathe is most of them are 2 to 3 phase power. That's not a big deal. You can get a I can't remember what that thing's called now, but you'd have to upgrade your garage quite a bit to be able to handle that. And the end mills are pricey. Well, if you buy good end mills, they're pricey. If you buy the cheap Chinese ones, they're not too bad. But they have a phase converter. They have a name, but you can actually turn 2-phase power into 3-phase. So I don't actually have to bring 3-phase power into the garage, which is definitely beneficial because I don't even know if 3-phase power is available out here. But I don't know. It's just not. It's not something that's high on my priority list. There's like so many other things that I, you know, need, want, need. Either way. Really, what I need the mostest right now is organization and a dumpster. I am very, very close to just throwing up my hands and ordering a 40-foot shipping container. I can't get a straight answer out of the county if I'm allowed to have it. I know that there's somebody else out in this area that has one, but I don't want to be like, well, you let him have one, because I don't know if they know he has one. But I think I'm just going to, what do they say? It's sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. So I've made several attempts. I even caught a building inspector at a job site like about a mile from here, and I pulled in and I was talking to him, and I said, "Hey, I live in the area, and I'm curious if I'm allowed to have a shipping container for storage." And he said, "Oh, well, where's your house?" And I said, I'm not going to tell you that." And he kind of looked at me funny, and I said, I'm not going to tell you where I live, and then you tell me, you know, no, and I do it anyway, and then you know where I live. And he's like, "Well, that's fair enough." And he goes, "It just depends on where you are." Well, I think that I am in an area where I have enough land, and I mean, a lot of this area around here is farm. So my plan is to bring it in and put it at the far end of the garage, outside, obviously. Ooh, that's a bolt, but it's threaded as a screw. That's all right. It's for the garage doors. And then I'm going to paint it the same color as the garage and run privacy fence between it and the garage. So it should blend in. My immediate neighbors aren't going to care. It'll look better than what I have down there now. And then it'll give me 40 feet of storage. I'll be able to run shelves at least down one side, because I also want to be able to store. I have some larger items that I can't tell you guys what they are because they're up and coming projects for the garage channel, but they're fairly large projects that aren't the size of cars, and they're not motorcycles, and they're not jet skis, and they're not lawnmowers, and they're not go-karts, and they're not, I'm trying to think what else I can name that they're not. I'm just not going to tell you what they are. Paint it camouflage. Well, if I paint it the same color gray as the garage, it will technically be camouflage. So, but yeah, I'm really thinking about pulling the trigger on that. And then with that, if I can, so is it the FK2? That'd be brilliant. If I run shelving down one side and maybe even half coming back up the other side, like halfway, 20 feet, that would leave me 20 feet to put, and I could put like my lawnmower and my lawn trailer and that kind of stuff in there if I wanted to. But that would get so much of this stuff out of the garage, plus certain projects that are up and coming, I'd be able to hide so that they don't appear in videos when they shouldn't. But all of the auto parts and stuff that I have laying around, it would give me somewhere to put all these extra spare auto parts and stuff. And then once all of that was out of the garage, it would then give me the opportunity to finish building out the garage. You know, I built the one wall on the stream and haven't mudded it. But I mean, there's still a lot of walls that need to be built in there. And then the second floor put above, and that will enable me to have my metal shop. It'll enable me to have my clean room, which at that point I may move the studio to that room. I don't know, because I don't know what I would do with this room. Might have to rent it to Uncle Ron when he moves down here. But yeah, it would allow me to proceed with that kind of stuff, all while still working on automotive projects. AC to be installed. Well, there is AC already, because there's AC in here, and this AC was sized large enough to cool also the wood shop and the clean room. I can't AC the big part of the garage where I actually do the work until like 100,000 subscribers on the garage channel. At least I gotta have 100,000. So gotta make that cheddar. Bleeder screws. Yeah, this is just like, this is all sharp, pointy stuff down in here now. But yeah, and then once, you know, like once the metal shop is done, I want to put in a 4-post lift, but the 4-post lift has to be big enough to handle things like my truck. The 2-post lift will lift my truck and has lifted my truck. But it's really like, my butt is clenched the whole entire time. It is not, it takes me like 45 minutes to get the thing lined up on the lift and get all the lift pads right and pick it up. And then the whole time I'm just clinching. I'm just clinching until that thing is high enough to put the stands under the front and back. And then even then I don't feel good about it. It is a 10,000 pound lift and it is a 9,000 pound truck. The problem is it's 24 feet long. And picking that up from just the middle, yeah, it's really unnerving. So I want. I'm looking to add a high capacity. By high capacity, I mean, you know, 15,000 pounds preferably, 4-post lift that is also long enough, has the longer runways for, mainly for that truck. So I can get it up in the air, do oil changes and stuff easier, even though I can almost just walk underneath it. So, and that will go in the very end bay. And the nice part about 4-post lifts, you don't have to bolt them down. You can actually move them. They come with wheels. Like when you want to move them, you lift the deck up a little bit and you put these wheels, and then you bring the weight of the deck down, and it cantilevers the wheels up, and then you can roll that thing around. So that's kind of cool. But I don't know if I'm going to be doing this for a while, and I do plan to. I don't know if God has different plans for me, but I plan to be turning wrench well into my 80s. And if that's the case, I need to be prepared for it. I did tell you guys, I think just last week, that I have intentions on putting a bridge crane in, which will just be in the bay where the 2-post lift is now, just because I'm already getting to the point where I can't lift things like I used to, probably because I used to. And now everything hurts, but I need to make provisions now for when I am no longer capable. I also don't know if I ever told you guys, but I was in a gnarly car accident when I was 16 and messed my back all up. And they told me that I should absolutely make plans to be in a wheelchair, because I was going to be in a wheelchair by 21. And well, look at that. They were wrong. They also told me I'd never lift over 50 pounds again. Oh, I was going to make a joke, but family-friendly channel. But yeah, so I beat those odds, and here I am. But I can tell as age creeps in. So I wrenched my knee, wrenched my back, turned an ankle. I guess I'm turning and wrenching. Yeah, and if Uncle Ron is going to be my helper in the shop, he's no better off than I am. Actually, he's I don't know, that guy. Oof. I'm like, man, I can't pick this up. He's like, get out of the way. And he's but no, it'll all be good. So, but I also have to make a decision how I want to handle that, because James and I have talked about this on the air. You know, like when I started the Fun King Garage channel, it was my intentions to, like, the content was going to be just whatever I wanted to work on in the garage. Like, it wasn't going to be an automotive channel per se. You know, if I had a welding project, I did welding. If I was working on the fish tank, I did fish tank. You know, it was just whatever garage project I was working on. But with the Fummins project, it brought a lot of automotive content to the channel, and that's where my following is coming from. And I'm afraid, I mean, by watching other YouTubers, I'm afraid if I just start willy-nilly throwing other content in there, that it is going to, it's gonna mess up the algorithms. Because people, like the people that follow me for the automotive content, aren't going to necessarily want to watch me build a workbench, which I need to build a workbench. So I'm thinking about starting another YouTube channel. God, that even hurts to say that out loud. For those of you not familiar with Derek from Vice Grip Garage, I wonder what that guy Derek's doing right now. So Derek runs Vice Grip Garage, but he also has a channel called Vice Grip Lodge. And Vice Grip Lodge is all of the stuff that doesn't necessarily fit the content of the garage channel. So like the actual expansion of his garage was done on the Lodge channel. And, you know, like stuff like that is done over on the secondary channel. And like, I don't consider Fun King 3D and Fun King Garage associated at all, other than the fact that I'm on both of them sometimes. But so I'm trying to come up with a format for that, where I could have a secondary channel. Also, if you guys aren't familiar with Puddin's Fab Shop, oh my God, the first time I watched Puddin's Fab Shop, like I watched the video like this, I thought the guy was absolutely just bonkers. I was going to use a derogatory term there for a second. Can't remember, I'm old. But he's not. He's actually a really fun guy, and very entertaining to watch. And he's the kind of, like, he does automotive projects, and the kind of work that he does is that non-OCD work where he's like, yeah, it's close enough, and just welds it in. Um, I can't do that. Can't do that. I have to measure everything and make sure it's perfect. But he has a channel, and he just calls it Puddin's Fab Shop 2. Not very creative, but it gets the point across. And then, like, that's where he was doing his I'm gonna call them mailbag videos because I don't know what else to call them. But so mailbag videos generally do terrible. And that's not just mine. I mean, mine did terrible. Wait, that is an old automotive bolt, like old, like 70s import. But I used to do a Mailbag Monday here on the channel, and it was a lot of fun for us. Uh, we absolutely loved getting to see what everybody sent us, and different people's 3D prints and stuff. And it was just fun to randomly open things like Rastafarian caps. But the viewership on it was awful. And so then talking with other YouTubers that had mail. Well, in fact, Joel made it like very publicly known that his fan mail Fridays, it was hurting his numbers on his YouTube channel, and then he had put him over onto a secondary channel. I don't know if he still even does that. I gotta admit, I don't watch a lot of 3D printing content anymore, but I say all of that. I hate when people say, to make a long story short, because that's a long story. But I mean, you guys are paying me to talk, so I'm just gonna ramble. I love you guys. Do you know that? I say all that to get around to, I'm really thinking about that the channel needs a secondary channel. Like, I need a secondary garage channel for the stuff that's not automotive based. And then Fun King Garage as a whole will be an automotive YouTube channel. And then the secondary channel will be everything else. Because there's been a couple of projects that I didn't film. Well, even stuff like, like when I built that wall, I streamed that on this channel because it was this live stream. Luckily, I didn't get a bunch of people like, hey, show us more drywall work. Nope. But like, so I bought that new toolbox, that new roller chest. I know you guys have seen the video. I know you watch my videos. Currently, the front of the garage, I have my big monitor on this side, and that's my workbench. And then on this side is my toolbox and my teardown table. I can't put the second toolbox in there because it'll block the electrical panel, and that's a no-no. So I'm gonna gut all of that out. This is insider information, by the way. I'm gonna gut all that out, and I'm going to move the two toolboxes over to this side, and I'm gonna build a new bench on this side. Now, it has to be a new bench for a couple of reasons. One, I don't like the one I currently have. I only used it because my father built it years ago, and I had it, and so that's why I used it, even though it's not really right. Like, I can't really hammer on it. It'll just tear it all up. And then that bench, the way that I'm designing it, I will be able to put my hydraulic lift table underneath the center of it and jack it up just enough off of the floor where I can pull it out of where it is. So a couple reasons. One, gets too messy, I can just pull it out and just scrape everything into a garbage can. The second reason is if I need to do electrical work, I can pull it out of there so that I can stand in front of the electrical box. Because the electrical is changing in this garage all the time. Unless you're from the code enforcement department, then it's only ever been what I pulled permits for. So that's the plan with all of that. And I want to film that. but I don't think that that would do well on the garage channel. It needs to be over on the secondary channel. At least in my opinion, it does. I don't want to start to lose my following. And it's crazy enough to build a following not necessarily based around one thing. So I watch Matt's Off-Road Recovery. And with a name like Matt's Off-Road Recovery, as you can imagine, it's a channel about doing fabrication. So when I started watching them, it was Off-Road Recovery. They're out in Utah, and they still do 3 videos a week. And so they always release one of the different jobs that they did, if like obviously not normal boring jobs, but if they're fun and exciting jobs, then they record them and release a video about going out and getting these people out of the middle of the desert and such. Make sure to go for an alignment rack because they have sliding jacks in the center. Car truck off the axle. Yeah, but they're also really low to the ground. God, I couldn't even imagine. I can't even imagine having an alignment rack. That would be glorious. I got sidetracked. Brian sidetracked me. So like watching that channel. So yes, it is about off-road recovery, but they do a lot of fabrication. He built a, and I don't know, maybe you guys are already familiar with Matt's Off-Road Recovery, but he built a specific, like a purpose-built vehicle for doing these desert recoveries, and for rock crawling and stuff, because that's a thing in not in Florida. So they did a lot of fabrication. They built it out of an old Corvair wagon, which is awesome. If you guys haven't seen Matt's Off-Road Recovery, at least go check out the Corvair. Sorry, the Morvair. From watching Matt's channel, I then stumbled onto Paul's channel, which I was telling you guys about last week, and that is Fab Rats. And Fab Rats is a very family-oriented, family-friendly channel, and they do, like, he does some automotive repair, but it's mostly fabrication. Like, they also build, they're out in Utah as well. Him and Matt are actually like in real life friends, so it kind of works out that way. But new channel named Fun King Garbage, that's actually pretty funny. Huh. I don't know if I'd call it garbage though. That's kind of derogatory on your own content, but that might send me down a rabbit hole where I need to be. But anyway, what I'm getting at is those channels are all about something specific. Taylor Ray, good guy, lives here in Florida. He's about an hour from me. His main thing is he's a drifter, not like a homeless guy. He does race car drifting, and I probably make that same joke about him every time I bring him up. But so that's like his thing. Now, once in a while, he works on something else. I mean, he's got a new body style Chevy truck that he put an LS swap into and turboed it and stuff, like, but for the most part, his content is always about the same thing. So, and again, long story short, because it's not, if I have now established my users, no, I don't like that word, my followers, I don't really like that either. Clientele, no. Fans, no. We'll just go with subscribers. I've now established my subscriber base off of, really mostly off of the Fummins project, but the video I did of the lift kit in Sean's truck, the original video of putting the intake on the Nissan, and the lowering kit in my mom's car are probably the most viewed and most commented on videos that I have on the channel. So even though I have a wide variety of things, they kind of follow the same format. So Brian said, if they don't want to watch you do that, oh well, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, but then I can't become a millionaire, Brian. I'm trying to retire and live off of YouTube money. I would like to do this full time. I would like to work in my garage and work on cars full time. And I promise you, I have some really cool projects coming up. Just scheduling wise has really hindered it, but I have a couple really, really cool projects coming up. And I'm also looking to buy a couple. I have a problem. I have a problem. But I got sidetracked again. But like, okay, so I've brought up South Main Auto, and in fact, Brian said that he's actually been there. Eric O runs an auto shop. His content is different almost every time he makes a video. Like, I mean, he'll be working on a car and he'll say, "Oh, I've already shown you guys how to do brakes on this car in a previous video or whatever, but I'm also doing this today." So, like, his content is never the same, but it's always automotive repair. So, like, you gotta kind of dial it in. Oh, that's a lot of just dirt and crud in the bottom of that. So you got to kind of dial it into one topic. Well, that worked out perfectly. I'm done with the stuff, and we're almost done with the stream. But anyway, that's my dilemma is coming up with how to use all the rest of the content that I have. Like, I don't only work on cars. Yeah, that's not a good plan. It's going to end up on the floor. I'll just put it on the floor. I want to share everything that I do in the garage with you guys. If I'm fixing a piece of furniture, I want to film that. I want to film that, and even if and it probably will be, the secondary channel would probably be lesser quality editing. I'm not saying my editing's good. I'm just saying, like it would be a much more raw format, because I don't have time to edit and maintain 2 channels. I did say it. I have a problem. The first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem, and I have a problem. There is no doubt. One of the projects that I want to work on. Oh, I'm so excited about it. But anyway, I can't share it because the bulk of the people said that they don't want any spoilers anymore. So, chat says just one. Well, it's one really big problem. It encompasses all of it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going. So I mean, if anybody has any input on that, I'd love to hear it. I mean, Brian said, just give everybody the finger and tell them to bugger off. But I mean, you do have to kind of cater to the people that are watching. Like you don't want to change your content too much. Xander is fighting that right now because he was making the skits. Brian, you can always suggest stuff, buddy. I'm open book, man. Xander was always making his content based on skits from Rec Room, and grew really tired of it and just decided he wasn't going to do it anymore. And now he's having Glenn does everything. Oh my God, that's funny. But see, again, that's how Fun King Garage was supposed to be. It was everything that happened in the garage. I didn't want it to be automotive based. In fact, if you go to our website, or if you watch the trailer channel, it says, from woodworking to welding to, whatever, because I want it to encompass everything. But I also don't want to release. I mean, like, if I put up a video of me knitting, nobody would watch that. So now I've released a video that's hit my channel that gets no views, and it's going to absolutely just wreck my analytics. It's stupid. The whole way that it works is stupid. But But yeah, so Xander's fighting, trying to find new ground. And I told him, I said, you have to treat it like you've started a new YouTube channel because you're abandoning your old fan base. Like that first 1,000 people that were there, I don't even know what he's at right now, but they came for one specific content and now you've changed the content. And some of them are going to come along because they like you, but a lot of them won't because they don't like the format. So, but again, Tony, the issue is if you release a video and nobody watches it, it hurts your analytics. So I would rather have a secondary backup channel where I can just kind of throw the stuff that doesn't go Fun King garbage. Maybe I'll call it the Fun King garbage dump. But anyway, so that's kind of that's the life of a YouTuber. But anyway, I think I am gonna wrap it up right now though, because one, I have to go wash my hands, and two, I gotta go make sure my kid goes to bed when he's supposed to, because he won't. He hates going to bed. Hates it. And then he's just miserable in the morning. So, but I just make videos what I like to do, and I'm not trying to make money off of it. I just want to get to a point where I'm making enough money that I can do this full time. Of course, my boss swears that he's never going to let me quit. So I don't know how that will work out, but I would just love to make a living by going to my garage and working on whatever the project of the week is or whatever, Puddin's Fab Shop, his format is that he releases one video a week. And so like he just works on something for the week and then he edits out the video. My problem is that the editing of the video, and I don't know, maybe I need to go take a class. Maybe I'll get better at it if I actually took a class, and then I don't know, or maybe I should stop, trying for so much perfection and just release the stuff as raw as possible. Doesn't matter. Anyway, what it comes down to is I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here. I knew it wasn't going to be a huge turnout tonight. Again, new night, new format. Well, actually, this wasn't a new format, but new night, and going up against some of the bigger streamers. That Chris Riley guy. But of course, that stream was only for his Patreons. But I mean, who isn't a Patreon supporter of Chris Riley? I mean, God, I actually support him twice. That's not true. That's a lie. But I do thank each and every one of you guys for being here. It was a fast 2 hours, maybe not for you, but it was a fast 2 hours for me. I did get something accomplished, which is fantastic. I was still able to read the chat. You guys kept me entertained. I hope I kept you entertained, because that's what I'm here for. This is the part where I have to be better about saying, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel for more content, and also hit that thumbs up button because it really helps the channel. I don't know. I'm supposed to get better about saying that on the other channel too. But as you know, sadly, this is the time where I grab my tool bag. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong channel. I am going to wrap it up. Love each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. James will be back next week. We're going to do it again Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until next time, as always, print on.